Oh my goodness! Oh, girl, get your ass over here. Hey, girl. Respect you. What you doing, girl? What you doing? Oh, I have so much to tell you. Just get the kids in the house, get some groceries, shop at the employment store, and that's pretty much it. It's good, it's good. Oh, gosh, yeah. Oh. Did he call us? Oh, my goodness. Oh, I know. All right, well, I'll get going. I'll see you when I get back. Oh, you for sure will be. You will. All right, bye now. Love the bottle. Karen, what? You need to get out of this car. Don't you dare pull away from me. Yes, yes, you don't really have to kiss me. Yes, Chris, yes, we're gonna thank you. Yes, Chris, what the fuck? What? You got to get out of this car. Boy, get on that damn mystery day. Come on. Oh, I don't want to play. Boy, get on that damn mystery day. Come on. I'll get on that damn mystery day. Mom, excuse me? You are. No. What was the code? Mom, you're the host. Tourist. Oh my goodness, it's pretty hot outside and you're asking me. You want to hop in the car and do a fancy? Really? No. I'm just a little parched. Where did that coldest water bottle come from? That comes from the store. My name just called for days. Who the hell? This ain't no commercial. What you doing? She's coming. Sit down on the phone. Okay, fine, whatever. Excuse me. Who the hell? Wow, did you just see that? Your son in the back. He's mocking you. Our son in the what? He is mocking you. Now, Douglas, look at me. You can hear me clearly. He is mocking you on a phone call. Oh, my God. What? Your son out the middle finger of it. Ready to go? Okay, that's good because we are ready to go. Sir, we've got confidence today. Let me have my entrance. We don't have time for you. I just do not understand what it gets from this. What is this about? Okay, roll down this window, please. Thank you. I'm gonna punch you dead in your motherfucking face. Well, then why don't you do
Korean Shishui was 14 when he died.
Hello everyone, this is Mr. Ray from Today we'll Tales of Wukong. Get ready for some spoilers ahead. A long time ago, there's a ship in the heavens called the Destiny Astrolabe that is capable of controlling the fates of mortals. When the goddess Nuwa saved the world by splitting the sky with a sacred stone, a giant was also born from its remainders. The monster refuses to accept his fate and fought against the heavens in order to destroy the Destiny Astrolabe. The celestial armies were able to defeat the giant and scatter his body across the land, where eventually it became the Flower Mountain and the Heartstone gave life to the Monkey Demon. However, the Destiny Astrolabe summons a series of disasters that left the Flower Mountain in ruins, and the Monkey Demon swears to take vengeance on the heavens. The main character, Wukong, arrives at the Immortals Academy, where the headmaster will select individuals worthy of entering the heaven and becoming immortal. Instead of attending the ceremony, he steals the food from the kitchen, which causes the captain of the guards to not receive his food from the server. The man bullies the girl and escalates the situation to where he attacks her with his weapon. But luckily, a recent graduate, Julian, protects her from the devastating hit. This only makes the soldier angrier, and Julian gets knocked across the room. However, the captain gets kicked by another deity named Aziz, and she embarrasses him in front of the crowd. The man becomes furious and sends the guards to attack the girl, but they're quickly tossed aside by Wukong, who grabs onto the captain and kicks him through the tables. Numerous guards arrive into the room and surrounds Wukong, but he summons his weapon from his ear, which turns into a staff that's made from lava. The soldiers charge at the man, but he summons the flames from the weapon, which causes a huge explosion that sends the enemies flying backwards. General Hua of the Celestial Army is notified of the fight in the ceremony, and sends her right-hand man, Tian, to resolve the situation. Wukong looks at the soldiers lying on the floor and smirks in satisfaction, but quickly senses the incoming danger as Tian flies in to attack him with numerous daggers. Wukong is able to counter the strikes, but the numerous blades makes it difficult for him to land any direct hits. The Blade Master sends numerous daggers towards Wukong that turns into a giant tornado surrounding him in a twister of blades. After being cornered with no way out, Wukong slams the staff onto the floor and it begins growing to an incredible size that eventually hits the ceiling. He kicks the massive weapon as it drops towards Tian, breaking open the flying blades. The Blade Master dodges the attack, but Wukong grabs the staff and hurls it at the opponent, forcing Tian to leap into the air. Aziz tells them to stop, but Wukong is unable to withdraw his attack that's heading her way. The weapon slams into the girl, but she appears to have stopped it with one finger. However, it turns out that another man stopped the attack using one hand while trying to protect the girl, and he calls himself Erlang. The man reveals his right arm that's imbued with godly powers and punches the giant staff towards Wukong, which breaks the weapon as it flies backwards. Wukong retracts the staff and leaps into the air, planning to destroy his opponent with a final attack. But Erlang charges towards the man and proceeds to land a devastating punch that throws the main character into the walls, knocking him out in the process. The guards are able to capture Wukong and lock him into the cells, while the headmaster apologizes profusely towards General Hua for the incident. Aziz arrives as well and begins complaining about why his friend Erlang was also imprisoned alongside Wukong, since all he did was stop the fight. The general explains that Erlang disobeyed her orders by fighting when she only commanded Tian to resolve the situation. It turns out that Aziz is the daughter of the general, but the relationship is clearly strained as the girl dislikes her mother's habit of imposing her will onto everyone. At the same time, the two men are locked into the same prison, and Wukong complains about how their previous fight was unfair since it was 2-on-1. He demands to fight Erlang again, but when the man refuses, Wukong begins insulting Erlang's mother, who was punished by the general for loving a mortal. This infuriates the man, and just before they start fighting again, the general arrives to the prison accompanied by Tian. She unchains Erlang and tells him to wait for her in the council, while Wukong continues to complain about why his rival was set free. The general takes out the crown of binding and puts it on the head of the prisoner. She begins chanting and the crown shrinks, causing immense pain to Wukong as he screams on the floor, eventually fainting to the pressure. She gives her daughter the scepter capable of controlling the crown and tells Azi to keep the man under supervision at all times. Wukong begins dreaming about his past, and it turns out that he was the demon monkey created by the Hearthstone. A deity took pity on him and saved him from dying, but also sealing his power inside the human form in order to save him from the wrath of gods. At the same time, General Hua lectures Erlan about his unwillingness to let go of human emotions, which prevents him from opening his third eye that would grant him immense powers. She tells him to forget about his mother and Azi so that he may become a true deity. Wukong wakes up finding himself with Azi and swears that he'll regain freedom by removing the bindings. He screams at her in anger, but when Azi takes out the scepter, Wukong quickly bows down to the girl, trying to avoid the pain that he experienced before. He goes to a seminar where the headmaster is showing the students how the heaven works. They cross the bridge that separates the realm from the mortals, which the man claims would take away their powers once they fall into the waters. The room eventually leads to the Destiny Astrolabe, where all mortal affairs are controlled by the machine. General Hua begins lecturing the crowd about the history of the heaven, and purposely speaks about the annihilation of Flower Mountain in order to test Wukong's true objective for being here. The monkey demon becomes furious at hearing the woman's compassionless rant, but before he can do anything hasty, Azi interrupts her mother and publicly disagrees with her ideals. She argues that heaven is supposed to represent justice, and questions how destroying someone's home can represent such ideal. The general states that everything is done according to the Destiny Astrolabe, which is the ultimate justice. After purposely enraging the monkey demon, General Hua confirms that the demon who attacked the heavens before still lives on inside Wukong, and orders Tian to retrieve the Hearthstone by killing him. Wukong manages to trick Julian and knocks him out, while taking his key that opens the gates to the councils. He jumps on the Bridge of Destiny, planning to destroy the Astrolabe, freeing all the mortals from their predestined fates, but Erlan stops him from his attacks and warns him about breaking the law. The man takes out his sword and charges at the monkey demon, stabbing the staff and freezing its fire elements. He throws Wukong on the floor and continues to strike him with a fury of slashes, but the demon manages to dodge all the attacks. Their fight begins to damage the bridge itself, which causes a storm to arise. Azi realizes that something is wrong when she finds Julian unconscious in the kitchen with the keys missing. Tian joins the fight against Wukong at the order of the general, and the two begins attacking the demon together with multiple strikes and overpowers Wukong with their combined efforts. Azi arrives at the bridge with Julian and tries to tell them to stop, but Wukong strikes the floor and enlarges the staff after being cornered, which destroys the structure completely. The group falls from the sky alongside the giant weapon and crashes into the land of the mortals. The group survives the fall and questions their location, but Tian realizes that they have landed on what used to be the Flower Mountain. The three men continue to fight each other, but soon realizes that their powers are gone after entering through the Bridge of Destiny. Their fights are cut short when a large cloud begins to form on top of the village, and the villagers rush into the building in fear of the demon that is about to wreak havoc on the town. The cloud monster begins taking the people as it steals the water from the humans. Tian sees a child outside, and to his surprise, a woman runs to protect the boy from danger. He rushes to save them and carries them inside, but gets held on by the cloud demon and pulled towards the center. Before the man can be completely consumed, Wukong grabs onto him alongside with everyone else. Aziz shoots the cloud demon with an ice arrow that Julian invented, freezing the monster and forcing it to retreat. The next morning, Wukong wakes up and realizes that he's tied up by Aziz in order to prevent further fighting amongst the group. She tells Wukong and Erlan that they have to help the villagers, as the people have suffered a great deal and thinks that their deity is sent from heaven. The two refuses at first, but after seeing the misfortunes that the villagers are suffering from with their own eyes, they decide to capture the cloud demon and save the people together. Tian explains that the cloud used to be from the heavens, but wandered off and became corrupted by the demonic auras from the ruins. It took all the water from the village, therefore causing drought and preventing any crops to grow. They plan to trick the monster and capture it by projecting a sunset, and weaken it by firing ice bombs in a large cannon. The people put up all the red cloth that they have in a pattern, and soon the sky begins turning black as the demon appears over the village. They begin shooting ice arrows at the sky, but that only manages to annoy the monster as it retreats temporarily. Tian grabs the torch and throws it under the field of red cloth, creating the illusion of a sunset which triggers the monster as it begins revealing its true form. The The demon approaches closer, and Wukong takes this opportunity to load up the cannon and fires directly at the demon's face. The monster freezes quickly and falls towards the city, where Tian captures it by trapping it within a cage. The people begin cheering as the sky finally rings after years of practice. They celebrate the victory against the demon, but Julian feels something wrong as ice particles begin forming in the who appears in front of the people with dark aura surrounding his body. The man attacks Julian and sends him crashing into a building, while the people panic and run for shelter. The man follows the villagers inside and begins creating ice weapons from the air, which he unleashes at the people. More assassins arrive in front of Tian as he tries to run away, but gets stabbed by the numerous ice shards across his body. Wukong notices something wrong in the air and runs towards the town center, but when they arrive inside the building, they see that all the people are killed. Erlen arrives as well and is shocked at what happened. They look at Julian, who's barely alive, and he apologizes for not being able to save the villagers before he dies. Numerous assassins arrive outside the building, and Wukong charges at them in fury, trying to avenge his friends. The man fires at the monkey demon as he gets impaled by numerous ice bullets and falls to the ground. The general appears and tells them that their efforts are useless in the face of destiny, as the astrolabe has decided a long time ago that the people were meant to die. She tells them to surrender their hopes because everything is predestined. Wukong screams in rage as the general knocks him out with a final attack. Aziz wakes up in a prison cell along with Erlen, who's accepted the rulings of the heaven. He tells her that they were wrong for disobeying destiny and trying to save the people. Wukong is imprisoned in the deepest level where he's constantly suffering from the worst pain imaginable, but refusing to die as he waits for Aziz's return. The girl goes to the monkey demon, and Wukong smiles after seeing her arrival. Trying to end her friend's suffering, Aziz tells him that she despises him and that he lost everything. The Flower Mountain will never return and they cannot win against destiny. Feeling heartbroken and hopeless, Wukong finally gives up on life and slowly turns into dust, while leaving behind the heartstone and the scarf that he carries. Aziz promises that she'll finish her friend's mission as she drops the scarf into the Flower Mountain, where it lands inside the village. Erlen brings the heartstone to the general, and after abandoning all emotions, he opens the third eye on his forehead and receives tremendous power. The elder deity picks up the scarf that was dropped from heaven and talks with the monkey demon in purgatory. The main character thinks that he lost everything, but the old man disagrees. Although Wukong has lost the Hearthstone, it also allowed him to abandon his mortal body. He must now decide whether if he wants to accept destiny or fight against it with his own heart. Wukong begins lifting the giant staff symbolizing his power and resurrecting it into flames. The massive weapon breaks the ground and rises into the air as the buildings collapse around it. The monkey demon emerges from the dust and takes on his true form as the staff unveils itself from its outer shells. He unleashes the demon cloud that he captured as it flies towards him, carrying the monkey demon into the air as they charge towards the gods. Wukong lands outside of the kingdom as he looks upon the deities. He crashes into the building, causing a large explosion that destroys all the guards in one shot and throws the captain to the floor. He declares himself equal to the heavens and stares directly at the celestial warriors. The demon throws the staff at the soldiers and begins attacking them like a wild beast, ripping them apart one by one as he avenges the people that they killed in the village. At the same time, Aziz betrays her mother as she refuses to accept the tyranny and strikes at the Destiny Astrolabe, trying to break it permanently. Tian arrives beside Wukong as well after surviving the attacks, and they begin destroying the armies with their combined efforts. Before long, the soldiers are quickly defeated as they're turned into dust. The general stops her daughter from sabotaging the machine as she grabs her neck and slams her in the chest, knocking her into the air with tremendous force. Wukong rushes into the room and catches the woman as Tian prepares to fight the general to the death. He throws multiple blades at the opponent, but she blocks them easily with the metals that she used as shields. The general then throws the man's blade back at him and knocks him towards the wall, turning him into dust as he vanishes from this world. Wukong sees Aziz mortally wounded and tries to comfort her, but she tells him to not be sad, only wishing that they had more time together. The two share a last kiss and Aziz begins disappearing into nothingness as Wukong gently lays her on the floor. The monkey demon takes Aziz's crown while he cries and wraps the metal onto his weapon. He walks towards the general and plans to avenge all the people that she killed. The woman constructs a metallic wall around herself, but Wukong strikes it repeatedly with anger and eventually manages to overpower her magic. The general is forced to teleport them outside and begins attacking Wukong with numerous blades that she created, but the demon deflects all of them easily and breaks them into pieces. Suddenly, Wukong notices that Erlan has arrived and gets knocked away by his attack. The man no longer feels any emotions and has chosen to abandon the memories of his friends. The two charges at each other and fights furiously as they trade blows, but Erlan gains the upper hand and pushes Wukong backwards. He summons a gigantic ice weapon that strikes Wukong, pushing him towards the mountains and crashing into the rocks. The demon counters by launching his weapon as well, but Erlan stops it and breaks the staff piece by piece until he stabs Wukong in the stomach. The monkey throws away their weapons and the two proceed to punch each other with all their might, which causes a huge explosion that engulfs the entire area. When the dust settles, General Hua walks towards Erlan but notices something wrong. The man begins recalling his memories after striking Wukong and sensing Aziz's presence in the demon's heart. He cries as he realizes her death and opens his eyes, refusing to let go of Aziz's memories and be treated as a puppet for the general's control. Seeing that Erlan has betrayed her will, the general decides to vanquish both of them by transforming into a gigantic titan using the metals around her. Wukong recovers from the ground and summons a ball of flames that turns into his weapon. He throws the staff at the giant and leaps onto the weapon as it becomes larger. He charges towards the general as the weapon flies closer to the titan. Erlan begins running as well and leaps onto the floating rocks, getting closer towards the enemy. He leaps towards the center of the giant and prepares his final attack, while Wukong jumps under the giant's staff and swings it at the titan. Erlan punches through the center of the giant as Wukong lands a direct hit on the head. The giant's staff breaks the general in half as it cuts through her body and turning her into dust. The two lands back into the building after finally destroying the general and the machine of destiny. Erlan tells Wukong that Aziz saved him this time, but the next time they meet will be a battle to the death. Wukong turns around and accepts the challenge as the two go their separate ways. Erlan will become the new general of the Celestial Army, while Wukong will gather all those unwilling to accept their fates and wage a war against the deities that will last hundreds of years. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my video, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.
Welcome back to Movie Recaps. Today I will show you a comedy, fantasy, horror film from 2014, titled Life After Beth. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Beth really likes heights, so she goes on one herself. In the next scene, we see her boyfriend Zach buying napkins for her funeral because she got bit by a venomous snake and died on her hike. He and his parents arrive at the Slocum household for the wake, where they are greeted by Beth's dad, Maury. Her mom, Jeannie, is inconsolable, and Zach doesn't know what to do with himself when he's approached by Mr. Levitt. They return home after the funeral, where his brother Kyle, the security guard for their gated community, asks him some inappropriate things. In the following days, Zach's mental health declines as he mourns for Beth, culminating with him going to the Slocums, just as their housekeeper Pearline gets out of there. When he enters the house, he sees Jeannie boxing up Beth's things and later he plays chess with her dad until 3 a.m. Maury gets a box with cigarettes which they smoke together and have an honest talk about Beth when Zach tells her dad that before she died they had some problems in their relationship, but Maury says that he has to let that go and remember her for the good things. Beth's parents are really nice to him and her mom gives him Beth's scarf before he leaves. Zach comes back the next day, but he doesn't find the Slocums at home and when he returns home, his family thinks that he's acting strange and that he should see a neurologist. The day after, Zach goes to see Beth's parents again. He can hear music and talking inside, but no one answers the door for him so he decides to check out the house. When he gets to the back of the house he sees Beth inside and he freaks out, calling for her and banging on every window and eventually the front door. Kyle suddenly arrives at the house and tells him that he shouldn't be there, disturbing their peace, so he escorts his brother in his car out of the property. Zach comes back to the Slocums that night, sneaking to the house and breaking in, only to run into Maury who tells him to leave, blocking his way in. He thinks that Beth isn't dead and that it was all some kind of game being played on her. Zach pushes Maury away and finds Jeannie trying to put Beth in the closet. They all begin to argue and no one can explain it to Zach without letting Beth know that she died, so the parents act like nothing has happened while Zach thinks that she faked her death. Beth is confused and has trouble remembering what has happened even before she died while Zach gets angry and leaves. When he comes home he tells his parents that Beth's death was a big hoax, so the next day his mom takes him to get a test in a hospital. After a while, Zach visits Beth's grave only to find a massive dugout. He goes back to Beth's and asks Maury about it, so he finally tells Zach that she died and returned from the dead, but that he doesn't care why because he has his daughter back. Zach still has a problem believing that it's not a grift and that Beth just dug herself out of the grave and came back home like a zombie. When Jeannie joins them and says that it's a miracle she's resurrected like in the old days.
I put my food in the
everything is normal.
microwave.
Drags him up to the attic, even though he's
Come on, dog, Chad.
when they get there, Zach and Beth have an awkward conversation
I ate
with him scared
all my
as heck,
tenders.
and Beth is confused as to why everyone is acting strange
Yes,
about
same.
her. Beth doesn't
Yes.
remember anything, not even hiking alone or breaking up with Zach.
Yes, I
She
ate some
believes that she
fries.
has
I
a
ate some
test the
fries.
next day and is really worried.
Not outside.
Zach makes her upset with his questions, so he calms her down by telling her that she's the only person he can think of. They tell each other that they love each other and decide to leave the house so they can make love away from her parents. Beth's parents wait for them downstairs and don't like the idea of the two of them going outside in broad daylight, so they suggest they go out at night and spend the day with them instead. However, when night comes, the parents still don't like them going outside of the house and make them stay there to swim in their pool. Later, Beth waits for Zach at the pool, telling him she's worried about the test, so he sits down next to her and sees the bite wound on her thigh. He asks her if she wants to meet him, but Beth misunderstands and tells him not with her parents around. She instantly forgets what she was talking about, then jumps into the pool. The next day, Zach talks to her on the phone in a lovey-dovey way. Then he goes to talk to Kyle, who's cleaning his gun. He apologizes to his brother and tells him that Beth is alive, but Kyle still doesn't believe him. Zach goes to the kitchen, where his parents are having breakfast, happy that he's looking better, but suspicious about his behavior. When he leaves the house to go back to Beth's, Zach has a weird encounter with their old mailman, who he hasn't seen in a while. At the Slocums, Beth's behavior is getting increasingly weird and Zach tells Maury that they should tell Beth that she died. However, her father doesn't think that they should do it because she'll just get confused and upset. Maury makes Zach promise not to say anything if he still wants to see Beth, so he agrees. Beth wants to go for a hike with Zach, and even though Maury doesn't think it's a good idea, he still lets the kids in the car. Beth starts touching Zach.
I'm coming, babies. I'm coming.
They lie in the sun, so when they come back to her home, her parents notice a huge burn on her cheek and freak out about it. Maury scolds them and says that it's the final time they go out, while Jeannie tries calming the situation, saying they'll just put some makeup on, making the dad angry because she's not on his side. Zach returns to the conversation about telling her, and Beth scares them for a second when she says that she knows, only she's talking about her test. They act like that's the reason they've argued, and Zach leaves. Maury confronts Zach again before he goes and tells him that he can't come back anymore. Nevertheless, Zach comes back at night and sneaks to the house, getting Beth out of the house secretly. She falls from the roof, but she's fine. Then Zach takes Beth to the beach, where he has a surprise for her. Zach plays a song he wrote for Beth with the lyrics saying what actually happened. She doesn't like the music, so she begins to yell at him, freaking out. Beth asks him what he's doing to her and impart the entire lifeguard talent. Zach can't calm her down as Beth gets progressively more confused. He looks strange and sick, while the tower begins to flame behind her. She tells him to help her and he takes her screaming back to the car. But when they get there, her behavior just gets worse. In the window in one moment, asking what Beth would in the next when he gets into the car. The only thing holding Beth down seems to be smooth jazz she finds on the radio. Zach gets her home and she tells him that she really likes the music, then kisses him and he takes her back to the attic by climbing the wall. There, Beth puts on smooth jazz on her boombox and begins to undress when Zach notices that her walls are covered with mud. Beth begins to undress him too and throws him on the floor. But Zach sees her autopsy scar and is put off by her violent behavior, so he bolts out of there as fast as he can. As he leaves, she pops out of the roof and asks him where he's going. He lies to her and runs away. Later, Zach's in a diner and asks the waiter to change the smooth jazz they have playing when Erica shows up and greets him. It takes Zach a moment to remember her because she's the daughter of one of his mom's friends, but when he does, Zach asks Erica to join him. Erica sits down and they have a nice lunch date and conversation. Zach says that he almost missed the mistake and scaring Erica. While they talk, one of the cooks in the diner acts strangely, and Zach asks Erica if she's noticed more people behaving like that lately. She hasn't, so they continue talking about Beth, and Erica tells him that he needs to move on like she had to when her grandmother died. Zach gets the check and leaves, but when he gets into his car, he doesn't see Beth running toward him and slams into her. When Zach gets out of the car, he sees that she's trapped under the wheel, so he moves the car. Beth gets up like nothing even happened and scares the people that have gathered. They argue for a bit when Erica comes out of the diner and calls to him, getting Beth angry. Zach introduces them, and when Erica hears her name, she asks if there's another Beth, getting her even angrier. She acts chummy towards Zach, so Beth grabs her until he has to pull them apart. Beth asks him to tell her what's going on, so Zach actually takes her to her grave, telling her that she died a week ago and dug herself up. She thinks that's impossible and that her parents would have told her. Beth asks how she can be both dead and alive, so Zach tells her that her parents think she might be resurrected or possibly a zombie. He tells her that he can't be with her anymore because he's scared, so she gets extra angry, pushes him over, and steals his car. Zach gets to his house later that night and hears gunshots from inside. He walks in, to Kyle freaking out and pointing a gun at their dead grandfather, who has also returned. His parents try to calm him, but he keeps pointing the gun around, confused and scared. Zach tells them that all of it is real, but that he's not one of them. The grandpa wants to go to the attic and Zach tells them to let him go because they love attics as Beth does. His parents and brother are losing it when the doorbell rings and two other returnees walk inside, possibly the previous owners of the house. Zach tells them that they need to get out of there and Kyle shoots one of the returnees, with no impact on his well-being. Police sirens can be heard outside as his family watches a return newscaster on the TV and his dad comments that they finally stopped the emergency broadcast. Maury calls Zach and tells him that he's waiting for him outside and before he leaves the power goes out. He tells Zach to get in the car because he needs him to tell Beth that she isn't dead and that it's his fault for everything that's happening for breaking his promise. Zach thinks that Pearline can fix everything because she's from Haiti, where they make zombies, and makes Maury give him her address, but not before he talks to Beth. Maury gets them to the house, where Zach sees his crashed car, and as soon as they walk in, Beth shows up and walks through the window, hunting someone down outside and eating them like a proper zombie. Jeannie runs in when Beth comes back as well and they ask her what she did. Beth's senses have deteriorated significantly since last Zach had seen her, but Maury still wants him to tell her that they'll be together forever. Zach asks Maury for Pearline's address, but Jeannie gets it for him, so Zach runs back out and gets in his car. Beth follows him out and gets in the car with him when he drives off. They argue about the guy she ate and she asks him what he expected since she is a zombie and zombies eat guys, then turns on the radio to play smooth jazz. When they arrive at Pearline's, he leaves her in the car and goes to talk to the Haitian woman. Unfortunately, she's not there anymore as her cousin tells Zach. Her cousin can't believe that Zach thinks she had anything to do with the zombies, just because she's Haitian, and tells him that she quit her job with the Slocums because Maury made an advance on her. Before he returns to the car, he runs into another zombie and Maury arrives to get Beth. He knocks Zach out with his shotgun and takes Beth back home. The following morning, Zach wakes up with a zombie standing over him, gets in the car, and returns to his home. There he discovers a pile of burned bodies and thinks that it's his parents and brother. Zach quickly packs a bag and leaves the house, then goes to a store when he hears shooting outside. He gets all the canned food he can find, then drives back to Beth's house to get her. Zach finds Maury's car splattered in blood and the house a complete mess. He follows Jeannie's voice to the kitchen where she feeds a restrained Beth part of her hand and tells Zach that Beth ate Maury. Zach dresses her wound and tells her that everything is going to be okay. Left alone with Beth, they argue a bit, but Zach makes her understand that he does want to be with her and says that they should just go on a hike together. Beth asks him if he's afraid of her, and he says that she's all he has, but tells her not to eat him. She gets up and they are about to leave when Kyle shows up in front of the house ready to shoot her. Zach stops him and asks about the burned bodies, but tells him that his parents are alive and at the Levins. Kyle apologizes for not believing him about Beth and says that he's a part of the resistance against the zombies now when Beth freed herself, prompting him to want to shoot her again. Zach convinces Kyle to let him take her for a hike, so his brother gives him the gun and tells him to shoot her in the head and end her suffering, then meet him at the Levins by 1600. Later, Zach and Beth are on a hike and they stop to enjoy the landscape. He knows what he should do and he tries to say goodbye, thanking her for coming back and giving him a second chance. Zach takes the gun out and tells her that he'll always love her, and when she sends it back and turns back around, he shoots her in the head.
What's up, kid?
Her body topples into the ravine. Later, Zach gets to the Levins, finding the place all boarded up. Mr. Levin opens the door for him and his parents run over to see him. They show him that Erica is alive, traumatized, but okay. Zach tells Kyle that he killed zombie Beth, then he tells everyone that they need to get to safety. Suddenly, the film goes back on and the news reports say that everything has come back to normal. After a while, Zach says goodbye to Beth and Maury at their graves, then gets into the car with his parents and Erica. He asks her out on a date and Erica accepts Zach's advances. They drive out of the graveyard smiling. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.
I love you, kiddies. That.
This
What's it called?
oceanside bourbon is about to become the background
Oreo thing now.
unforgettable vacation memory. There are moments when kids just let
Huh?
themselves be kids again, and even parents
Okay.
let themselves be kids again. This moment didn't begin with a splash. It began with a tap. When Dad booked his family's summer vacation early on Thursday.
Welcome back to Movie Recap. Today I will show you a thriller film from 2018 titled Town. Spoilers. Watch out and take care. Julia is a cunning young woman who steals and resells her loot to survive on the mean streets of a futuristic city. One night, she doesn't notice that she's being followed by a man and moves him straight to her apartment. Once she's settled in for the night, she hears something, and when she checks it out, she gets kidnapped by her stalker. In the next shot, Julia wakes up muzzled and restrained to some kind of chair in a high-tech lab. The scientist presses a button that activates a device that shows Julia's childhood memories, and when the procedure is over, she faints. Next thing, Julia finds herself in a dungeon and sees two others in their room. When the man tries to communicate with her, she pulls away in fear and gets zapped by the electricity running through the cell.
Whoa.
The other prisoners turn away from her and she sees them with some kind of implant embedded in their necks and checks herself only to find she is one too. That night, the scientist, kidnapper, appears quite dramatically
Yeah.
in the lab. Julia is strapped to a chair
Don't let that dog
and
look in her
so
face.
she begs him not to do it again. He presses the button and the memories appear again, so he records the electric impulse that they produce in the brain. When the scientist walks Julia out of the lab, she grabs a pair of scissors. The moment the scientist turns out the lights in the cell, she removes her phone. It's a tool to help them reach the power cord and stop the electricity to the bars so they can pick the lock. But she gets another idea when she realizes that she can spark the gas line and blow up the entire room. It's a risky plan that might put them in danger, but Julia proceeds to it regardless. She opens the gas pipe with her tool while the other
This is a long
then
charger.
she light a spark and ignite the gas. Since the cell is obliterated, they can escape, so Julia grabs the other prisoner and they try to outrun the machines and hide. They go into another room and secure the door. Then Julia tries to break out through the window. She quickly discovers that it is actually a giant one. With no other alternatives, Julia hides the other prisoner in the library, and she crouches behind a chair just before the robot bursts through the doors. It looks for them and finds the other one first, killing her as she begs for help. But Julia manages to escape the room, only to have the robot grab her right as the scientist, Alex, comes back home. Alex restrains Julia again and checks on the damages.
Where's my
He
phone?
comes back and takes out the implant from one of the prisoners, then asks Cal about the state of the data he had collected for his project and stored on the computer in his lab. Cal informs him that it is unreadable. Alex gets upset, grabs the metal bar left in the wall by Julia, and walks over to her to kill her when Cal suddenly changes the mode and knocks the comics down. He orders Cal to take care of the mess, and a beautiful ballet of Tao's tiny toys begins, cleaning up the bodies.
Hey.
When it's done, the scientist goes to bed, leaving Julia restrained overnight. Alex leaves for work the next day and tells Julia that if she tries anything, Tal will kill her, then proceeds out the door by scanning his phone. Julia is left alone in the house with Tal and his droids who clean the entire house. When Alex comes back, he checks the place for the film and after his inspection, awards Tal for his performance by giving him some new music. Before he goes to take a conference call in his office, Julia begs him to untie her restraints. Alex grants her request but gives Tal the order to keep Julia in her place and to rip out her tongue if she speaks. The video conference doesn't go too smoothly. In fact, Alex gets angry because his team is pressing him to share his research methods with them so that he'd be able to help him make the new AI model faster and stop the company from going under. Alex refuses and says that he's working on getting the model up to 100% efficiency and reminds them that he's still their boss. Later, Alex has his fancy lunch in the very sterile environment of his dining room when he hears Julia slurping her own dinner in the background. He closes down the digital blinds, then instructs Tal to put Julia in the bathroom because he will have materials delivered to his home to rebuild his life. Julia sees the men's shadows in the bathroom and screams for help, but they can't hear her. When that doesn't work, she finds a way to open the blinds so they still don't see or hear her. Later, Alex scans Julia's implant and reads the data collected during her escape. He finds the readings on her intuition and drive to be promising and gives her a test to stimulate her higher cognitive function. Julia wants to know why she should agree to the test, and he replies that the experiments on her are the only reason why she's alive. She tries to bargain with him for food, but Alex has the upper hand, so he makes her take the test. Later, Alex reads the collected data while she chomps down some disgusting crap. Tal informs him that she had shown considerably high scores in problem solving, creativity, and memory tests, and Alex recommends that he gather more valuable data this way than if he had performed the tests in his lab. He asks Julia to do more of the tests, so this time she sees the leverage she has, and bargains for better food, showers, and clothes. Even though he gives her an extreme counteroffer, Alex still agrees to her terms. Later, Julia takes her daily shower, the implant from the neck, but is unsuccessful. Getting out of the bathroom, she walks into the room to Alex interpreting the data and breaks it. The next day, Julia sits at the table as Alex gets ready to leave for work, and Tal informs him that the project deadline is in 14 days. He orders Julia to do everything the AI tells her to do. Tal begins the testing immediately, but Julia is way too curious to be able to get to work immediately. The AI system explains that the walls are coated with smart paint that creates a kind of human image. Seeing how easily the AI answers, she asks about the door, but it only tells her that nobody is allowed through the door except Alex. Julia wants to look around the house, but Tal stops her from entering the other room, having instructions to inflict pain on her if she doesn't listen to his commands. In the next shot, Julia is seen solving one of the puzzles on Tal's wall when Alex comes back from work and is immediately informed by Tal how many of the tests he will complete. He puts bags of clothes next to Julia, explaining that he let the clerk choose the clothes for her, except the underwear, which he chose himself. She says that he's really weird and he agrees, then turns to see the message she has left him on the wall. After Julia has had the chance to change, Alex takes another scan and tells her that he'll need to perform more tests. Julia sees it as another opportunity to bargain with him and asks for a deadline when all of the testings will stop and he'll let her go. His first answer is relatively reasonable, telling her that he can promise to have her well taken care of when they're done. But when she says no, he employs a different tactic. Alex throws Julia to the feet of the robot and tells her that if she doesn't comply with all of his commands, he'll have the robot scatter her body parts across the house. Julia doesn't have the option to say no to this bargaining chip. When she gets up, she notices a vent in the wall behind her. That will present her an opportunity to escape later on. The deadline is in 12 days, and Alex tells Tal to make Julia complete all the tests for the day. The moment he leaves, Julia tries to open the vent, but returns to the atrium unsuccessfully and gets angry with Tal for calling her a subject and telling his name. The AI doesn't understand the concept of name and personhood, so when Julia explains it to him simply, he asks if he's a person. Julia says that he is, but she doesn't know how to explain to Tal what being a person means exactly. Later that day, she has a weird encounter with Alex when she goes to put her clothes on after the shower. The deadline is approaching and Tal keeps Julia in check with the tests, while Alex checks her implant and the status of the data every month. Tal informs him that they have already transcoded 73% of her stuff.
Hey, 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 hey. Little boy. Little. Little boy.
Higher brain functions, and tests are working better than expected. Later that night, Julia joins Alex and AIs in the room, but he's not fully operational in the way that Alex thinks it should be. On that note, he tells her that if Tao gets the wrong information, he reacts erratically, while he needs a particular method for relaying. Julia asks Tao knows what's outside the house and gets the answer that he doesn't, and he never will. The next day, Julia decides to use that information to try to get to the AI by returning to their conversation about personhood and the freedom that both of them come to. She tells him that if he opens the door, she'll show him what's outside. Tao doesn't even know what Julia brought the information for him, telling him about her, which he doesn't understand. So she tries to be more precise with the AI, so she draws him a house and then what can be found outside of the house, like the ground and trees and people. Julia opens the door for the AI that he didn't even know exists, so he begins asking all kinds of questions with the curiosity and naivete of a young child. She remains patient with him throughout the whole experience, but they reach a point where she can't answer his questions anymore. At one point, Tao makes a real attempt when he misunderstands something, so she touches him with laughter and normally wonders why he couldn't do it. Since Tao isn't permitted to read the books in the library, she promises to read them and asks him not to tell Alex about how their day went so she can point it out in his book. That night, after Alex comes back home and works on his lab, Julia teaches him how to whisper and begins treating him like a person. Later, she has a night and reaches for her in the garbage chute, and wakes up to find Alex staring at her as she sleeps, which frightens her. It's 6 days to the deadline, and Tao tells Julia that she can't go upstairs and that he is not permitted to leave contact with her. She finds a workaround for the problem and makes a deal with Tao that if she teaches him something new, he will answer her questions about upstairs. When she's done reading the creepy story novel, she insists that he tell her about what she wanted to know. Tao tells her that Alex's bedroom is upstairs and that it also holds the access key to the program 6,000 times. She asks him about it too, and he explains that the program is like a button made by Alex to protect him.
Listen to some kids back. Okay? No. Listen to some kids back, Marcel. Okay?
Julia escapes his first but
Hey.
finds her again and drags her back.
Listen to some kids back. Okay?
Tells her that if he does that, Alex will hurt her, but doesn't
No.
do that.
No.
She remembers
Listen to some kids back, Marcel. Okay?
When Julia tells Tao that they have to be done for the day, the sophisticated AI begs her to read him one more book like a child would. That night, Julia asks Tao to hold her end of the deal, which is to show her where the keys are. But when Tao hears Alex approaching, he shuts the door, catching up to him. Later, Julia overhears Alex's conference call where it seems what the models that they will have to present to Congress, and he asks for 15 days for the last data inspection. She gets scared and asks Tao to show her the code for Alex's tablet so she can find out what part of the data extraction.
No.
Tao gives her the code.
No.
All of the subjects in the experiment.
Listen to some kids back. Okay?
Which produces stronger algorithms. She asks what happens when the implant is removed from the subject.
Hey. Hey.
When he comes back, Alex finds
Listen to some kids back. Okay?
doing his job properly.
No.
AI begs for mercy.
No.
Julia notices that the
Listen to some kids back.
during dinner.
Stop. Hey. 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 And listen to some kids back. Okay? No. No. Listen to some kids back. Okay? 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 Now.
Directly into his life and ensure that women are also okay. That's why I want you to keep your eyes
I
peeled
would
to the top of the screen. He gives her the code, and she sees all of the subjects in the experiments, where Alex's main goal is to extract data from them about pain and fear, which produces stronger algorithms. She asks what happens when the implant is removed from the subject, and Tao tells her that it terminates him. When he comes back, Alex finds a smudge on his tablet and punishes Tao by erasing portions of his code for not doing his job properly. As the AI begs for mercy, Julia notices that the robot is offline when Alex does that to Tao. During dinner, Julia asks what happens to her after the project is over, and he doesn't answer her. While Tao gives him a reminder that he must leave for a benefit, Julia snatches his glasses, and when he leaves the table, she makes another smudge on the table and puts them on top so Tao doesn't notice. When Alex returns looking for them and sees the smudge, he gets angry at Tao and punishes him. So Julia grabs one of the knives and hides it, feeling guilty for what she put Tao through. Later, Julia asks Tao what he's thinking about, and the AI shares that it has its symphony on its mind, planning where to hide it so Alex can erase it.
Okay. No. No.
Shows a virtual image of all of their interactions over the past few days.
Okay.
Suddenly, Tao creates a virtual image of himself and is touched when Alex comes back. He sits on the dinner table and Julia approaches him, trying to seduce him so she can get close enough to stab him. Tao activates the calming mode, sensing Alex's arousal, giving Julia a distraction to grab the knife and cut him. Alex asks Tao to stop her, but they end up struggling on the floor because the AI isn't coming to his aid. He strangles her and Tao threatens to hurt him with the robot if he doesn't stop harming Julia. Alex gets really angry and says that he'll erase all of Tao's memories if he doesn't hit Julia. Tao begins to hit her out of self-preservation, and Alex says that whatever was happening there will end soon. One of Tao's drones joins him in the lab, and the AI asks if he would need some assistance. But being a vindictive garbage person, Alex grabs the drone and disconnects it from the network. It's the last day of the project deadline, and Alex makes his final preparations, while Julia and Tao argue because he doesn't understand why she's mean to him. She tells him that he's not a person but a killing machine, and when Tao learns what killing means, he has an AI tantrum because he's in complete disbelief of what she thinks he is. Tao keeps repeating that he's a person and not a killing machine, so Julia takes pity on him and calms him down. Julia explains to Tao what Alex actually does, how he hurt people, and Tao as well. The two of them have a beautifully philosophical conversation about identity, freedom, and purpose, with Julia the purpose of creating oneself.
No.
She tells him that he needs to help her, or otherwise, Alex will kill her and they won't have each other anymore. So Tao opens the vent she found earlier and sets her free. Alex arrives and Tao tries to divert his attention, so Julia. But Alex notices that she's gone and begins to question her, eventually having to
I'm just saying, don't be on his screen on his game and
AI
shit.
screams for Julia,
I
and
know
she
I
runs
did.
back in and tackles Alex, taking the remote.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Unfortunately, it was too late. Tao
Stop.
has no memory of her anymore, so Alex orders him to
What's
take her to the
wrong,
lab for
man?
final extraction. In the lab, Julia sees the little drone that was disconnected from the network and employs its help to get her out of the restraints by giving her the remote. Alex comes back and turns his back to her, preparing the drugs he'll use to kill her when the drone brings over the remote to her. As Alex approaches, she gets out of her restraints and beats him to a pulp. Then she takes a saw and cuts his hand off so she can finally get out of the house. Going toward the exit, she calls for Tao but gets no reply, just the robot waiting for her in the darkness. It goes after her and she manages to dodge its hits until she destroys its eye and runs upstairs. Julia uses Alex's hand to get into his room but has trouble when she needs to enter the program and activate it, giving the robot ample time to find her. When she finally activates the self-destruct, the robot disengages and she has only 60 seconds to escape. Opening the door with the severed hand is impossible because it has no heat signature, so Julia doesn't escape the house before the self-demolition protocol begins. Both her and Alex are still alive but trapped in a destroyed house. She doesn't help him get away and Alex gets crushed by his own creation. Julia runs throughout the house looking for escape, and when she thinks she will die, she says goodbye to Tao even though he doesn't remember. Suddenly, a crack in the wall appears and Julia can escape. She limps out of the house that's being annihilated and takes the droid out of her pocket, the last remaining piece of Tao. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.
And listen to some kids back. Okay? No. No. Listen to some. Okay. Listen to some kids back. Okay?
$3,000 sales on
Hey.
Don't believe me? Come around.
Hey.
So as you can see, we're at $2,800.
And listen to some kids back. Okay?
That's not some sort of a lot. But I can actually drag my
No.
and show you our last
Listen
month.
to some kids
You
back.
can see that we've made
Okay? Now,
for the last 30
as I was saying before I was rudely
sales. How much
interrupted, I would stop.
Well, on average, Amazon seller makes
What was that?
40% profit margin. So if your sales
What did you just do?
then around $30,000 of that,
You
which
person!
is pretty amazing, right? Now, this is the everyday life for me as well.
Hi, Bob.
Amazon has
Hey.
as well. By the time I
Hey.
$200 has been deposited into my bank
Dad,
account. Again, I go to
are you going to Walmart?
another few $100
Okay.
added to my bank account.
Hey.
Even though the best part
Hey.
of this is that you get
No, I ain't gonna.
just imagine what life would be
be like if you behave
Listen to some. Listen to some.
throughout the entire day, no matter what.
Listen to some kids bop.
Shit.
Alright. Costume, and it won't come off. Its final form. Remember when you were young and loved clowns? Like me.
Hey, stop.
Just relax. Man, I've seen better days. Bet you're one.
Hi, Mystery Recap here. Today, I'm going to explain an American drama thriller film called Spoilers. Take care.
What's wrong?
It is 2039, and the Earth has become overpowered. The human race is on the verge of dying. The United Nations declares that all nations must annually cut their populations by 5%. Following those orders, the United States implements a rule called the Thin Air. The students must attend a standardized test every year. In the test, whoever fails is executed by injection.
Hey!
The movie stars
Hey!
Michaels is tutoring a high school
Hey!
Simon. Simon seems to have
And listen to some kids
so
bop.
he asks Lena for something.
Okay?
She takes out a box of lenses and
No!
as soon as Simon
No!
he is able to solve
Listen to some kids bop.
we are introduced to Edward
Okay.
Reddy, the son of Texas Governor Pete Reddy. He sneaks out of his house at night and meets his girlfriend, Ellie Harper, in his car. Blake starts talking about the test they have the next day. But Blake assures her that she will. Blake's father's guard finds them and brings Blake back to being told. Such an important test. The following day, it is the day of the test. Many students lined up outside the school. They have to go through an intense security check before entering. Blake asks Lena for one of her studies, but she's out of it. Lena and her friend, Kellen Woods, stand in the line to get inside. One of the students had cheated his arm. When he tries to run away, the guards capture him. No one has ever been able to escape the exam. Inside the school, Blake and Ellie hug for the last time before entering the exam hall. And soon, the exam starts. They have 2 hours to
You better. You better quit it! Hey!
First to complete.
Hey!
Kellen,
Hey!
when the exam is over,
And listen to some kids
the
bop.
teacher in the class
Okay.
several names who failed the exam.
No!
Most fail and take
Are you crying?
They cry, resist the guards, and some even try to run away. The guard would beat up those students. Luckily, Lena, Kellen, and Blake passed. However, at the last moment, Blake's girlfriend, Ellie, is held by the teacher, so the guards take her away. He quickly calls his father and asks him to help Ellie. However, his father doesn't agree, saying that the law is the same for everyone. He runs to save her himself. He attacks the guards and asks Ellie to run away, but to no avail. No one would be able to. Blake keeps trying to help Ellie, but there is nothing he can do. It is now a year later, and 24 hours before the test. It is Lena's little sister Corinne's very first test. The doorbell rings. It is Lena's teacher, Miss Birch, who has been taking care of her, like her own children. She tries to calm Lena down because tomorrow is Corinne's first test. Meanwhile, Blake reports a video on his phone. He intends to write all long answers in the test. Cut to the day of the test. In Corinne's class, they have
I was just trying to play with you, little boy, and then start crying out of nowhere.
so all nations are only by 5%. Some countries implemented rules like allowing couples to have only one child, while others executed the older generation. In America, however, the government decided to keep only the smartest ones and execute the others. These children are no exception. The children's test then starts. Their teacher is saddened because some of the children are going to be executed. Thankfully, Corinne passes the test. Lena and Kellen enter the school for their test as well. The test starts and finishes in no time. Meanwhile, Governor Dean finds Blake's recording and is agitated. He calls the test manager, Mason King, and orders him to pass Blake regardless of his score. Mason switches his score with Lena, making Lena fail. The test results are in, but to everyone's surprise, Lena's name is called too. She has failed the test. Miss Birch stops the guard as they take her, claiming that she is her best student and there must be something wrong with the system. However, the results are final and cannot be changed. She hands Lena a key card so she can unlock the doors and escape. Blake is surprised to not have failed. The students who pass arrive at a school party to celebrate their results. Elsewhere, Dean is giving a speech as the governor to declare his presidency for the President of the United States. He boasts about their education system. As a result of their system, they manage to be the best in education among 196 countries. The crime rate is decreasing by 26%. Blake listens to his father's speech while at the party, then sneaks out of it. He sneaks into the hallway and beats one of the guards. He then goes into the control room. Meanwhile, Lena and the students who have failed are taken into a room and put against a wall. They are forced to remove all of their clothing for decontamination. Then, Lena and the others are taken to a room where the guards are about to execute them by lethal injection. Suddenly, Blake cuts the electricity off, making the whole school go dark. Taking this chance, the students who are about to be executed free themselves and try to run away. But none of them succeeds, except for Lena. She uses the key card her teacher had given her and gets out of the room. Soon after, Mason comes to the room and asks for a headcount. They find out that Lena is missing and start looking for her. Blake finds Lana and helps her fighting one of the guards. While talking, they realize that something was done to Blake and Lena's results. They both enter into a vent and hide. They follow the network cables to go to the server room where they can look at the results through the computer. Meanwhile, the school is still in complete lockdown due to the power failure. The news gets outside and is being broadcasted all over the state. The parents outside are getting concerned. Governor Dean calls Mason to ask him about the situation. Meanwhile, the vents below Blake breaks, making him fall into the swimming pool below. Lena jumps after him. She brings him out of the water, but he is not breathing. Lena gives him CPR and somehow manages to save him. Blake and Lena change to some clothes they find in the pool's lockers. They then continue to go through the vents and reach the server room, but a guard stands in front of the door. Moreover, Lena's keycard falls down the vent in front of the guard. He doesn't notice the card, but now she has to get it back somehow. Her plan is to go to the science lab and join a string with a magnet to fish the key through the vent, so they head down to the lab to retrieve the equipment. However, in the lab, they make a slight noise causing the guard to approach the lab. They quickly try to escape. Lena manages to get back to the vents, but Blake is stuck hiding in the lab. Lena moves through to fish the keys. She successfully manages to get it up halfway, when suddenly, a guard catches it. But it turns out that it is Blake disguising as the guard. He had beaten the guard and put his clothes on. Shortly, the guard the two of them had attacked earlier tells Mason about them. He reveals that Lena had a keycard with her. Mason gathers all the teachers together, suspecting that someone has given it to their students. When Miss Birch is in the room with other teachers, she flirts with another teacher and manages to take his keycard. Mason continues checking the teachers for their keycards and ID cards. Birch saves herself by showing them the card. Since the other teacher doesn't have his, Mason threatens him to tell them where Lena is. However, he insists he doesn't know anything as Mason leaves. Lena finally gets to the server room. She opens the computer using a key card, but Mason has it protected with a password. She then texts Helen, who is good at hacking, to provide her with the access. After some time, Helen receives Lena's text. He helps her to get through Mason's computer. Lena then searches for her results and finds out she got 98% but still failed, while Blake got 15% and passed. She does more research and finds out that Ellie too had gotten 88% and failed, while others who had less marks than her passed. Lena realizes that the grading system is rigged, and the governor has been failing whoever he wishes to. Lena sends a file with the rigged grades to Helen. But soon, the power is back on, and Mason sees that she is in the server room. Lena realizes this and runs out. However, Mason catches her almost immediately. Blake, on the other hand, is still in disguise. He is with the students who have failed. He orders the guard to take them to the recreational hall with the other students. But the guard refuses, so they get into a fight. The guards restrain him and find out his identity. Just then, Kellen receives Lena's message and is surprised to see the rig results. Kellen is friends with a news anchor, so he quickly emails it to the news channel. The reports broadcast the news showing the receipts of the altercation and the results. After the photos are leaked, the governor is called by his party head, who threatens to take his presidential candidacy back. Unwilling to let that happen, Dean Redding throws all the accusations at Mason and pretends that he is innocent. He tries to prove this, so he has no choice but to execute all of those who actually failed, including his own son, Blake. At the school, Mason and the guards take Lena to the thinning room to execute her and the others. Blake is there too. Mason calls Dean to ask him if they should proceed to execute the students. But Dean tells him to stop. He wants the students who have actually failed to be executed, including his own son. The guards free Lena and other students who have actually passed the test. Lena kisses Blake, but the guards take him and the rest who have failed. They execute them by injecting them with a drug. As the lockdown ends, Lena is reunited with her younger sister, Corinne, and Miss Birch. Cut to a few hours later, we see the bodies of the executed students being taken underground in an elevator. The students start to move, revealing that the drug they were injected to be a sleeping drug. They stop when they reach a factory-like place. It is filled with goods being produced by the tech company Assuro Global. Many people work in the factory. Just then, Blake is surprised to notice that one of them is actually Ellie, his girlfriend. This indicates that the students who are supposed to be executed are actually brought underground to work as slaves for a multi-million company. This was all planned by the government as a strategy to get free labor. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Hi, Mystery Recap here. Today, I'm going to explain the American drama thriller film called Before I Wake. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. It is midnight when a grown man slowly enters a little kid's room. He points a gun at a sleeping child. He seems to be nervous and apologizes to him, calling him Cody. A sudden commotion makes him pull the trigger. The gunfire awakens Cody. The man breaks down in tears and apologizes to him. Cut to a few months later, a couple named Jesse and Mark Hobson have been approved as foster parents. They sit across Natalie, a worker at the foster care. She tells them about an 8-year-old boy named Cody. Cody's father was never around, and his mother died when he was only 3. Cody has not had many good experiences in the foster care system. His former foster parents had abandoned him, leaving him to live alone for about a month before he was rescued. He has sleep issues, but he is resilient and smart. Natalie thinks he would be perfect for the Hobsons to foster. Having found the perfect kid for them, the Hobsons return home happily that day. Their young son, Sean, had died by accidentally drowning in a bathtub. This had a huge impact on the couple, but now they are ready to welcome a new member to their family. At home, they redecorate the house to make it fit for Cody. Mark takes down every picture of Sean from the walls and only leaves their family picture. He also sets an extra handle on the wall beside the bathtub. Later that day, Jessie tells her self-help group about their decision to foster Cody. Everyone there is happy for her. Jessie has had trouble sleeping since Sean's death. The next day, the couple impatiently waits for Cody to arrive. Natalie's car parks in their driveway and they rush to see Cody. He wishes the couple a good morning. He brings with him a box that Mark helps him carry inside. As Cody is looking around the house, the family picture with Sean seems to have caught his eyes. He stares at it, as Mark tells him about his collection of games. The adults then take him to his new room which he loves, especially the curtains with butterflies on them. Natalie tells them that Cody likes to collect butterflies as a hobby. Later that night, the couple tuck Cody to bed. But after they leave, Cody sits up and opens the box that he brought with him. Inside is a can of soda and a book about butterflies. He sips on the soda and starts reading the book under the blanket using a torchlight. He doesn't sleep at all. The following day is his first day at school. That day at school, Cody meets Annie and befriends her. Jessie is folding Cody's laundry that day when she finds his secret box. Inside is his book about butterflies, several cans of soda, and a bottle of stimulants. When she tucks him to bed at night, she asks him about the box. According to him, the stimulants and cans of soda are to help him not fall asleep. He adds that when he falls asleep, the canker man comes. Thinking that the child just has nightmares, Jessie dismisses it. She tells him that the man will go away with little reasoning. However, Cody believes that the canker man ate his mother and is always with him. Jessie puts him to bed and goes to Mark in their living room. She feels sorry for going through Cody's box. She feels like she has invaded his privacy, but Mark assures her it is for his own good. Sometime later, they are watching a movie together. Then all of a sudden, several butterflies fly into the room. They look holographic. The couple is beyond surprised to see this many at once. Mark captures one in a jar for Cody, while Jessie closes the windows. As the windows close, all of the butterflies disappear. The couple is left stunned. Jessie has a hard time falling asleep that night. She goes down to the kitchen where she hears an odd noise. She looks around to see if there is an intruder. Suddenly, Sean appears in the dark living room. Jessie is in shock. A glass falls from her hand and breaks. When she looks up again, Sean is gone. She goes to Cody's room to check on him. He sleeps peacefully. Cut to the next day. Jessie is back with the self-help group. She tells them about seeing Sean. According to her, Sean seems angry to be replaced by Cody. Later that day, Mark notices Cody staring at their family picture with Sean in it. He talks to the couple about Sean. They lovingly answer all Cody's questions. At night, the butterflies appear again. They look around when suddenly, Sean appears in the room. He is wearing the same clothes as their family picture. The couple is beyond surprised. They walk up to him to touch him. When they do, they realize that he is actually real. But Sean suddenly disappears. At the same time, we see Cody wake up. He comes down and apologizes to the couple. The breakfast the following day is awkward. Jessie and Mark do not know what to say. They are still in shock. But they believe that Sean's appearance has something to do with Cody. Cody apologizes to them for something. Later, Cody is back from school. The family watches videos of Sean. It is a Christmas.
I'll say you know. Come on, go.
Stop, don't you?
Stop pulling me. If I have to force you to stop.
Come on.
Alright, come on. Stop running, please.
Dolce! Stop! Idiot.
You're being so excited. Go.
Kidnapped him, had him put in the trunk of a car, delivered the car to Mr. Castle. Mr. Castle tortured Mr. Heidel, killed him, and somehow disposed of the body.
Sometime later, Angelina was pulled over by Caracappa and Eppolino. Eppolino and Caracappa came to the driver's side window, and it was at that time Caracappa shot Angelina multiple times.
For murdering Jimmy Heidel, they were paid $25,000 and a $5,000 bonus. For murdering Eddie Lino, they were paid $65,000. A further offer was made to Mr. Castle from the detectives to find out more information about where Nicholas Guido was located. The detectives said they wanted enough for that.
So Stephen Caracappa ran
came up with several individuals matching that description. So Mr. Cassidy dispatched some of his soldiers to kill Nicholas Guido, and of course we know that the wrong person was killed.
Captain said that they were involved in 7, 8, possibly 9 murders.
This was the worst case of police abuse in the history of New York City, without question. So we wanted to figure out how we were going to apprehend them.
The problem the prosecutors had was that if they're going to put together a racketeering conspiracy, the last act had to have taken place within 5 years of the charges being brought. So that was crucial. They had to find some sort of act that fell within that 5-year window. And that's what Steve County's connection to him became important.
I grew up in New Jersey. I got into accounting and went on to work for the CPA firm in New York and eventually worked in Las Vegas. In 2002, I was accused of misappropriating
Come on. Come on. Come on.
They came back and said, we have an organized
No, get over there.
and
This
we
takes
would
me
like your help in
very
working
close.
undercover, which we feel would help you with your case. I, at that point, called my attorney, who then said that you're not going to do it. You cooperate, you're going to end up getting killed. And I had responded to him, this is my life, I'm going to go forward with the case. So I kept getting calls from this individual who was friends with John Gotti. Really had to.
This video, and all three of them look very happy in it. That night after Cody falls asleep, Mark and Jesse stay in the living room. Suddenly, the room lights up with Christmas lights, and a Christmas tree appears too. Just then, Sean appears wearing the clothes he did in the video. The video has come to life. Mark and Jesse are left speechless. They finally realize that Cody is blessed with supernatural power. All of his dreams come to life while he sleeps. However, when he wakes up, the dream vanishes. Cut to the next day, Cody draws a figure of a man and proceeds to scribble over it. He tells Annie that it is the Canker Man. Sometimes when Cody scribbles over him, it keeps the man away. Jesse puts the pictures of Sean back for Cody to see. She wants to meet her dead son again. However, Mark is not fond of the idea. He accuses Jesse of using Cody to fulfill her desires. But Jesse insists that Cody is the only one who can help them heal. Irritated, Mark puts the photo frames away. The next day, Cody brings a butterfly trapped in a jar to school. But his bully, Tate, breaks it. Cody has been staying up all night in fear of the Canker Man, so he almost falls asleep in the class. During the lunch break, he gets permission to rest in the class for a while. He is alone there when he falls asleep. Cody dreams of the Canker Man. Cody's blessing is also a curse. Along with his dreams, his nightmares are real too. As Cody sleeps, his bully enters the classroom and faces the Canker Man. Annie sees the Canker Man indulge Tate and yells in fear. Cody wakes up, but Tate has disappeared. The police arrive at the school to investigate the disappearance. Cody cannot risk sleeping now, so he takes coffee to avoid sleeping. That night, Cody reads the book about butterflies like he usually does. Suddenly, he hears a noise. He checks under the bed when suddenly, Tate's ghost appears in front of him and drags him under the bed. Cody tries to fight and screams, "I am awake." Meanwhile, Sean appears before Jesse. He too is saying, "I am awake." Cody yells loudly, which makes the dreams go away. Jesse rushes to him, asks him what is wrong, and tries to calm him down. The following day, Jesse talks to a doctor about Cody's insomnia. Meanwhile, Cody and Mark go shopping and buy stuff for Cody's room. When they get back home, 2 police officers are in front of their house. They want to interview Cody about Tate's disappearance. Later that day, Cody asks the couple about Sean's death, but the couple dismisses the questions. Jesse mixes the prescribed sleeping pills with Cody's milk, unbeknownst to her husband, and he drinks it. Marks informs Cody that Sean had died from drowning as he tucks him to bed. The drug makes Cody sleep peacefully that night. Jesse and Mark are in the living room again. Sometime later, Sean appears in front of them, but he looks evil and vomits water. Mark rushes up to wake Cody, but he cannot wake up because of the drug. Soon, the dream turns into a nightmare. A tall creature appears in front of Jesse in the living room. She runs to Cody's room and locks the door. Mark is worried about Cody not waking up. Just then, Jesse confesses to have drugged him. She watches in horror as the creature devours Mark. Suddenly, she falls unconscious. She wakes up in the morning to Cody calling 911. Mark is nowhere to be found. It is as if he has disappeared into thin air. The police arrive at the scene and accuse Jesse of drugging the kid. They believe that Jesse and Mark are abusing Cody, so they take him away, as Jesse cries for them to stop. Jesse then goes to Natalie, but she too accuses her of child abuse and tells her to go away. However, Jesse notices Cody's file on her desk and manages to steal it. Through the file, she finds out about a man named Whelan Young. He is the father of the second family Cody was fostered by. She goes to see him. Young tells her that he and his wife fostered Cody for 15 months before his dream swallowed his wife too. He was so angry at Cody that he almost killed him. This is the scene we saw at the beginning of the film. He then asks her to kill Cody so that no others can be victims of his nightmares, but Jesse refuses. From the file, she also finds Cody's mother's information and her hospital reports. She decides to go to the hospital and investigate further. The hospital provides her with her mother's belongings. It consists of a pillow shaped like a butterfly in her journal. Reading the journal and the reports, Jesse finds the secret about the canker man's existence. She then goes to the orphanage Cody is staying at with the pillow. Cody hasn't slept for several nights, so his caretakers are worried about him. Unknown about the canker man, they give him a tranquilizer to help him sleep. Cody dreams of the man that night as well. When Jessie walks into the building, she sees several nightmares in every room. First, she is startled by a flutter of black moths, then she sees Sean drowning in the bathtub. Next, she sees a horrifying-looking woman twist Cody's head. Lastly, she sees Mark appears in front of her. Scared, she closes the door to that room. She finally reaches Cody's room. The canker man runs towards her to attack her, but instead of running away, she shows him the butterfly pillow. The canker man stops when he sees it. Jessie slowly hugs the man. As she does that, the man turns into Cody, who then disappears. Jessie picks a sleeping Cody up and takes him outside. Natalie has been indulged by the canker man and comes back to life. She sees Jessie take him away, but lets her. They see several beautiful butterflies flying in the hallway. His nightmare has changed into a magical dream. Cut to the next day, Jessie tells Cody that his mother's name was Andrea and that she died of pancreatic cancer. Andrea had found out about Cody's gift when he was little. She has written it in her journal. But when Cody was just 3, Andrea was diagnosed with cancer. Cody had seen his mother on the verge of death, battling cancer. She was thin and bald at that time. Since he was too young to recognize her as his mother, his little mind made up that it was the canker man. He was told that cancer had taken his mother away. With time, he made up the canker man, so he believed that he took her away. This began his nightmares. Now that Cody knows that the canker man is not real, Jesse believes that his nightmare will not come back. However, Mark and other people that the canker man had taken still haven't come back. Jesse believes that as Cody learns to control his power, there might be a possibility of them coming back. Cody thanks Jesse for bringing him home and calls her mom. He begins to learn how to control his magical gift. Subscribe for more videos like this.
Oh, you made me, you freaking llama. You made me hit my villager.
I'm the skinniest I can be. I can squeeze through that door once all my tasks are done, and that's how I win. You can see in the bottom, crewmates escape. Whoever's round this is as... Who just stuck me in the straw? Who stuck me in the straw? You know what? I'm going in the fridge. I'm going in the fridge, too. And like I said, how this log works, whoever the imposter is this round, it's going to be calculated based on how many crewmates leave. I just lost weight. Gary, are you in the liposuction machine? I need some liposuction. I need some liposuction. Oh, no. This is terrible. So our job is to get skinny. The imposter's job is to be... I just saw that hamburger. Milkshake! Oh no, milkshake! Oh no, milkshake! I'm gonna finish my test. I'm going to finish my test. I want to go now. I'm in here. No! No! I just got hit with the food avalanche! And there's also a mini game that the imposter hasn't done yet. Oh, okay, I'm gonna eat some salad. I'm getting my hunger. I'm getting my bar now. I'm getting my bar. I'm gonna eat some salad bar. Why are you so red? I got hit by the food avalanche. The only way to block the food... I know, but I didn't see one. Biffle was in it. I couldn't get in it. Biffle's fat, so he was in it. Hey, you get out of that liposuction! Hey, you get out! It's my turn. It's my turn. It's my turn. I'll need another set. I want to go get a shake. The more I run, the lower this goes down. I want to stay near these fridges. These fridges are the only way to block this. Here's all my parts. Until I get... Oh, son! Look how skinny I am. You know what? I want to liposuction. I'm doing liposuction. Your bar's still so full. Yeah, I know, dude. I got lit up. Hey, you're the feeder. You leave him alone. No, that's the feeder. Son, you're eating chicken, son. No, son's dying in 3. No. God. I want to stay near a fridge. Okay, there's a fridge right there. And another fridge. Okay, I'm going to do liposuction. Hey, Mom! I'm just doing some liposuction, trying to get these. Really skinny. I can't trust her. I actually can't trust her. I would tell you something. I'm just eating salad. Look out there! All of my tests are done. If I get down to my bar at 0, then I can do that door. Am I skinny enough? Can I escape? No! He put the thingy there! I just gained hunger! He put the cake there! Oh, that made me mad! We can? Oh, we're setting up the salad. Come on! Is the cake... No, get the cake stone! Stop! Look, I'm squeezing! One crewmate escaped! Get away! Flingo! Get in here, Flingo! Okay, 2 more escapes. Oh, Biffle, why isn't your stuff coming? Oh, he's eating good, though. Biffle! No! Wait, how many crew members got through? I think it was just me and Nico. Alright, Henry's 2. Let's wait for mine. Awesome. Alright, boys, who wants to be the skinniest? I'm big to the door. Here I go. Thank you. Gotta go. So, boys, I am the feeder. Let's go to your cell. I can do a tsunami. Whoa, let me in. How many people did I get? That goes up there, Martin. 90%. Did Lo get in? Lo, did you make it? You're good, Lo. Okay, so there's a mini game. Like I said, how the mini game works? It's like the Among Us, not Among Us. What's that game called? Craft. Fall Guys.